Shortly after 1 on Sunday, 22 March 2020. Thank you for joining us for another update on COVID-19 in Namibia. With me is the editor again of Namibian Sun, Toivu Chimbela. Good afternoon, Toivu.
Good afternoon, Danny. Thank you for having me.
Listen, first of all, just to summarize some news that came in yesterday. Obviously, the Minister of Urban and Local Development saying no municipality or other authority can stop giving water to people, so they may not cut off your water due to bad debts or other issues. That's to promote hygiene. Yesterday, 35 Namibians coming from Europe landed with a KLM flight at Tusia Kutaku, and then they were quarantined at Khorixas Conference Center outside Windhoek. We're going to actually show you footage when we spoke to some of those parents this morning. A hotel in Windhoek also confirmed they put 3 people who was in contact with someone who tested positive in self-isolation. And then a whole debate since yesterday, Toivu, about the independence celebrations. I think Namibians thought it would be much less people, and in the end there was a whole lot of people. So on social media, it actually, there was a lot of criticism, and it's now even, there's criticism from beyond our borders because of the heads of state that came here.
Yeah. So the State House thing yesterday was, I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. Personally, I thought it would be really a tiny group. Even in my editorial on Friday, I said, you know, it's a very unorthodox event. Because in my mind, I was very clear that it would be very less numbers. And then we saw a lot of people hovering in the region of 500 there. And what was disappointing to a lot of people, including myself, is that the president just announced measures earlier in the week about we shouldn't be in groups of more than 50. We shouldn't do this. And again, these are not just Namibian measures. These are international measures as announced by WHO and others. And then it just happened like that. So we saw in Botswana, for example, the president was here, and then the Nurses Union in Botswana issued a very strongly worded statement saying that President Masisi was not abiding to the measures that the country has put in place, and that he must be quarantined for 14 days or so.
Yeah, or self-isolate himself. In any case, a lot of the criticism, Toivu, I think, is about the whole issue around double standards. That, I mean, certain things are expected of church, other businesses, and then I know independence and 30 years of it especially is very important, but people are questioning double standards.
Yeah, you know, there's no question, absolutely no question about the importance of the day in general. Under the normal circumstances, we would have been very happy to have a very normal celebration of our 30 years of independence, but this was not the time. Some of the words that I saw being thrown on social media in particular yesterday were classism, that we are now treating different classes because it's head of state, it's government officials, they think that they have a separate set of rules for themselves. And also dishonesty, to say that you can't go out publicly and say this is what you're going to do going forward, and then you break exactly that principle yourself. That was just out of order for me.
We're quickly looking at the updated map of the World Health Organization, taken a short while ago. So yes, there deaths already over 11,000. 267,000 confirmed cases, that's globally, in 184 countries. Just also our local data in terms of people that have been tested, that is still unchanged from a Friday afternoon. And we're also displaying that, just that numbers for you again. So in Namibia officially, we have 3 confirmed cases and 22 negative results. We understand there's still a lot of follow-up and other tests, but they are not announcing at this stage how many pending results there is. Now, coming back quickly, Toivu, to the whole issue around the quarantine, the KLM flight yesterday 35 Namibian citizens. It's not only students, there are other people also. And apparently they were only told when they got on the flight that they will be quarantined once they arrive in Windhoek at the international airport. They were then moved to the greatest conference center outside of Windhoek. And yes, it's important also that we don't vilify and victimize these people. These are measures beyond their control. This morning, two parents of young people that are being quarantined there spoke to us. So we're playing you the following voice insert.
Good morning. So I'm one of the parents of the children, and saying children, my child is 22 years old, that came in with a flight from Amsterdam on Saturday. The passengers had been put in quarantine by our government because of the coronavirus. So what happened is that we were aware that when they do come here, they have to be put in quarantine, which we understood was home quarantine, which is what we had been prepared for. But on Friday evening at about 11:30 at night, they were informed in the aeroplane that by the pilots that once they arrive in Namibia, they will be taken into quarantine by the government, and they had a few minutes to decide if they would like to stay on the plane or if they would like to get off the plane. At that point, we said it doesn't make sense, it's not possible, it doesn't make sense to be informed at 11:30 at night that the next day you go into government quarantine. And we said no, it's probably a misunderstanding. When they arrived, the gentleman at the information at the airport said that no, only those, they'll be tested or screened for fever. And only those that do have got the fever will be quarantined by the government. The other can go out. The next thing, the passengers were informed. There were 35 on the flight. They were informed that the passports are being taken, and they were put on a bus. And the bus took them to a lodge. So the lodge is a lodge that had been closed for a long time. The condition is not good, and it was difficult for us to speak to our children, but good thing is that the inspector, he was really trying to accommodate all of us and made it possible to see them from a distance. So generally what's happening is that the conditions are not good. It's quite a shocking situation because it's not what you expected, it's not what you prepared yourself for. But the guys are holding together, and we're all trying to make a plan to, get basic things sorted out, like hygiene, cleanliness, food. There were also some issues around water and electricity, but the electricity has been switched on. The water is still cold, but some rooms have, some rooms don't, but there is maintenance people that are there, that are fixing these things. So, at the moment, it's not a good situation, but the people from the government are trying to be accommodating, and we are trying to work together with them. What I would like to say is the problem, or one of the problems that we have, is that there seems to be a misunderstanding that the 35 passengers on the board do have got the coronavirus. This is absolutely not the case. To my knowledge, none of them had any symptoms, nor do they have symptoms. They are all healthy.
Good morning, all parents and people involved. I would just like to make a suggestion. We are all in a terrible situation here, and I think we can try to make this whole thing positive. I think we can turn everything around, and I'm trying to mobilize something where we as parents can get together and can organize to get cleaning aids and stuff for the people that is in quarantine, which I will make sure that gets delivered to them. And then what we can do is, I spoke to my daughter as well, who is inside, and I asked her if she can speak to the people and see if we can start cleaning the place up and get it livable for everybody. As bad as the situation is, I definitely think there's something positive that can come from it. Thank you so much.
Yes, Toivo, one can clearly hear the anguish in this mother's voice. It's not an easy situation, and I've seen photos this morning of how this facility actually look. I've decided not to share it on the show, but at least they are trying to work together and improve the situation. Just a comment on what the mother also said. I'm giving you the official definitions of the terms quarantine and isolation, because that's very important. So quarantine is always something that's imposed by authorities.
Yeah.
In other words, the authorities will tell you, we are going to quarantine you.
Yes.
Very important in terms of handling diseases.
Yeah.
People who are put in quarantine do not display symptoms.
Yeah.
Like she said, none of these 35 people display symptoms of COVID-19.
Yes.
What then happens if you start showing symptoms, then we get to the term isolation. So then authorities can actually isolate you,
Yeah.
for example, by taking you to the isolation ward at Windhoek Central Hospital. And then obviously there's something like a self-isolation, which is voluntary,
Yeah.
which you decide to do yourself, or it can be supervised.
Yeah.
I think it's important that all Namibians also understand the difficult
Yes.
situation these people and others find themselves in.
Yeah, I agree, Danny. First and foremost, I'm very grateful for these proactive measures by government, because for a long time I've been one of the critics that just felt that government was not very proactive in these kind of things. But to see this step, I think this was very bold. It's very uncomfortable, but for the right reasons. So I'm grateful, and because again, the nature of the voluntary isolation, as you just alluded to, also, because there has to be supervised isolation, which we haven't seen a lot of in the past couple of days. So hopefully this will help us in a lot of ways.
Unfortunately, though, it seems there's been not good communication, not really good preparedness. So we really hope that will be stepped up. And we're going quickly now to the regions. Just before you show you some news from the regions, these are clips from Mariental, Okahania, Oshivarongo, Onanjokwe and Ondangwa, as well as something from the Irongo region.
I am joined by Deputy Commissioner Gesina Nel. Thank you for having me, Deputy Commissioner. Can you tell me the preventative measures that we are taking at the police stations currently here in Mariental?
We are trying by all means to use hand wash, sensitizers, even by sharing with other colleagues, and when we are meeting with public members like we did yesterday when we visit some public places, we are moving around, traveling around with our hand sanitizers, and even sharing also with the community members. We bring it under the attention really through our community affairs officers.
Commissioner, when I visited the police station in town, I saw that there was hand sanitizer. However, do the inmates also have accessibility to the hand sanitizer?
They do have access. It's what we are also trying. Even if we do not enough that we get from the government, we are meeting the government halfway.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner, for having me. Please do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, and keep yourself safe also.
I will do so.
Thank you very much for your time.
So maybe if we can just end off just maybe an elbow shake, since we can't.
Elbow shake?
Yes.
Yes, a hard up shake.
A hard up shake.
Thank you very much for your
Commissioner.
time.
All right.
To tell you the truth, this It has been really difficult for us. It will be a difficult year for us, especially us who are freelance guides, because freelance guides only get paid when you are doing a tour. So rather than people who are permanent, at least maybe the company will do something about the people who are permanent, because maybe they will be compensated even if half salary or so, I don't know. But for us, if you are not driving any tour, then there is no income. So we have got family to take care of, homes to pay, mortgage, and we do have got workers at the villages that we have to pay. So we don't know what we are going to do. So the impact is severe. Just imagine if there is no tourists coming in. The lodges, the tour companies, the owners, the consultants, it's from top to bottom. So a lot of people gonna be really impacted severely.
And we have a lot of lodges, a lot of people on farms. So we've made sure that we stay in contact. You can reach us by cell phone number, by landline, and even on Facebook, which is a nice tool now. A lot of people have requests and ask us, like, do you have a thermometer? Do you have hand sanitizer? Before they obviously understandably drive 50 kilometers out to the store. So we make sure that we answer, and people can look on Facebook, search for our page, Theo Superspar, and we answer all those questions and concerns, and just make sure we stay in contact with people in the.
We are volunteers from Namibia Red Cross Society, and we are here today to do the hand wash campaign in order to fight coronavirus. We are actually giving people information on how to wash their hands, how to construct tippy taps, and give them more information about the symptoms of the coronavirus and how to prevent it. And I think we started yesterday, and I think the community is very interested in what we are doing here. And since many people are coming in big numbers,
What's your business utende no alela? Yeah. Ni mungo ya pumbiwai. Takutiwa leni omatama no ne nyanga no ma orange ngao. Dotoko Windhoek. What's your business utende no alela? Yeah. Ni mungo ya pumbiwai. Takutiwa leni omatama no ne.
We are now crossing via Skype to two of our journalists. They are in Khorixas today. That is Octavia. All of this footage, if you are watching, is not necessarily taken today. We have footage from yesterday and maybe the day before even. Just tell us in English, what was the message of, what was the informal trader there saying in Ondangwa?
Yeah, the one that I could hear clearly is the guy with vegetables. He didn't say much. It was actually Esther who was saying to him that he was doing a good job because the community need to eat fruits and vegetables, also to help being healthy and fend off the advances of the virus.
Also, maybe a positive takeout from your side from those different clips. What stood out for you?
I think people in Onanjokwe, cleaning those guys from the Red Cross, I think that level of education is important, because again, washing hands is not in the conventional sense that we do every day. There are certain things that you have to consider. There are certain things that you have to do differently. So to go to the people and show them in practice, I think is very, very important.
We have journalists traveling in the central north, and before we Skype with them in Khorixas, another footage from what they have collected, and this is from Okakarara, Utavi, Ochu, and of course Khorixas.
Tell me, what do you do to protect yourself against the coronavirus?
Yeah, I wear gloves. I avoid close contact with people, you know. I distance myself from them. Yeah, most quarantine.
Yeah.
Keeping myself away from people.
And do you think it's important for the government to make sure that the communities knows what this virus is and how people can protect themselves?
Yeah, it's well important because the government should know how people live.
Yeah.
Yeah, the government must also provide whatever the materials and how people should avoid from them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We are ready when it comes to coronavirus in terms of prevention. Our community members, as you have seen, our clients, they are seated outside, and we are only calling in a few number of them in group of 6 so that they can fit at the bench where they are seated, and there is a space in between the clients. We are giving them health education, preventative measures, which is washing hands thoroughly. We do have leaflets which we have received from our district hospital, Ochivarongo. They are in language, Shiwambo, Shikwanyama, Rukwangari, and English.
Information for coronavirus, for the first time when we had it, during these 2 past weeks. And then there is more improvement on my brother's bar here, Tatebeni. We did fix also small things like zincs. Yeah, before you go to the bathroom, then you need, after when you are done using the bathroom, yeah, and then you have to wash your hands. It did provide also some soaps and some tissues.
Yes.
Yeah, to dry up your hands before you come now to have your drink and something like that. And then from there also another thing also with the bar lady in my brother's bar, she's also given the information that she mustn't always just accept the money from the clients or from the customers, but first of all what she do, she's always putting on hand gloves.
Alsjeblieft meneer, anders. Ja, de kraan moet zo staan. Smaak op. Zo vandaag gaan ik daar bij elkaar. Als we bij elkaar krijgen, wel die mensen daar rondje waren. We kijken met die metro die groot pak. Daar je dat kraan niet. Dan die mensen was. Dan de drink moeite om te doen. Nee? Dat is fijn. Dat is goed. Dat is goed.
Daar kan ik met de squash met in misschien als tijd toe gaan, dan kan ik mijn handen was. Als misschien iets gaan ontvangen, dan kan ik mijn handen was.
Ja.
Ik heb het zo geworden.
Dat
is al wat geworden is.
Nou, wat weet meneer Johannes van hierdie ziekte?
Ik van de ziekte ik weet niks. Maar ik heb geworden die ziekte erin gekomen, maar ik ken niks.
Ne ba training ke ha ke au tshita ke toch ke mi ba xameda ke khunga khui of kraninga akrane kwi amai ni mai itanga ba khunga khwera xamanqanta ke omdeni xanqom khabeda ke toch on khelle ke ke kransa nquro se ha tshita ke toch qabaro sata ke kuru ne hara kho inqaba anqomxa.
We are now crossing via Skype to 2 of our journalists. They are in Khorixas today. That is Octavia Tsibes and Marisel Stoffberg. Good afternoon, Octavia.
Hi, Danny. How are you doing at headquarters?
We are doing fine. Thank you, Octavia. Just give us a bit of a summary of what you have witnessed in Khorixas. You've been there also before today.
Danny, it has been, I can say it is overwhelming and yet exciting to see what the town councils and different businessmen and the communities how they're working together to educate people on the coronavirus that's going on. of course, we spent 2 days here in Khorixas, but we were also behind Okakarara, we were also in Otavi, we were in Ochivarango briefly, we were in Ocho. So just to see that the communities are speaking the same language and they are on the same page.
Yes, Octavia and Maricel, is that sort of the same understanding in all the towns that you've been to, or is it, or did you come across a situation where you think some towns have better preparedness and awareness than others?
Yeah, I think definitely some of the towns that we visited, let's say the majority of them are prepared. They have emergency risk teams. For example, we spoke to the hospital in Okakarara and they have their pharmacies there are equipped, they have everything ready. But some communities don't really know what this virus entails, what they should do to protect themselves. Some of them aren't even aware that the virus is in the country. So that has been worrisome, but it's the minority of the towns that we visited that we've seen this issue. Most of them have risk management teams in place. We do see that sanitizer and Dettol is still a big issue. We spoke to, for example, the SPAR on Ochu, and they said that headquarters told them there's nothing left for them to give. So they're still awaiting stock, but we've sensed a positivity. The shopping has gone back to normal. It's not that frenzy that you're seeing anymore. So it's like people they've come to terms and they know what they should do to protect themselves.
Thank you, Maricel. And also then, Octavia, I saw you guys were also educating people and we have played some of that footage, so thank you for that. And Octavia, this morning you said it's raining in Khorixas. What other positives did you pick up? Because it's so important that we, all of us, try to stay positive.
Yes, you know, every corner that you go to in every town, be it that we are not recording anything, we're just going to get water or something, you see people actually having a conversation about this coronavirus and they're saying, you just hear the conversation like, yeah, but you just have to wash your hands and you just have to follow these rules. I mean, and all these things that the ministry is telling us, it's not that much of a big deal. We should stand together and fight against this virus. So it's not that people are moaning and they're all negative. I mean, they're helping each other. I mean, the community is working together. The school, what is it? The parents, they're educating each other. So, and of course, yes, we received a lot of rain in the Kunene area. I mean, the Khastan. So it's good. The moment we're driving out of Windhoek, coming into the central region, I mean, you could see that the people are more positive than they are in Windhoek and in Okanja. In small towns, in Otavi, yes, they know about it and they are positive. All that they're doing is following what the local health centers are telling them to do and local businessmen.
Ladies, we thank you very much here from Windhoek and we wish you safe travel. Toivo, I think one of the most important things is also that people stay positive, and that's why we've decided we're also going to put in a little slot in this update program of ours about positivity. Now, first of all, Esther Kamati there in Ondangwa sent this picture this morning showing that the Oshanas are full, the fountains are giving water. So that's a positive. So it's important also that we as people look at the positive around us.
Very much so. I mean, in times where positivity has become so rare, I think those bits are very, very important to say that not all is lost. We might just obey the rules, and there'll be lining. They say what? The silver lining. Perhaps this is the silver lining of this very difficult period.
There's a lot of rain. Just look at these flowers quickly. Positivity again. This was sent to our contact number, WhatsApp, actually at the Republican. Maybe the producer can just show it again very quickly there. Those beautiful flowers. Now, when I was looking at this, I was yesterday or Friday evening looking at these images. This is a reader called Elise.
Yeah.
And almost every day she's sending pictures of flowers. And it just struck me within this whole COVID-19 business how positive that is. We have shown you the number. We'll do it quickly again. So if you've got positive messages you'd like to share with us, please use our WhatsApp number 0811 7010. Unfortunately, we cannot display it due to a technicality, so I repeat just slowly 0811 7010. Toivo, thank you very much for joining me again today.
Always a pleasure, Danny.
And we're going to play out with a slightly longer version of the interview with psychologist Dr. Shaun Whittaker that we did play yesterday. Why it's important also, and the second part of this interview, he also mentions the whole issue of isolation and quarantine, what the impact is, and how we must assist people in those situations and keep positive. So we're going to play out with that. Remember, keep safe, but follow the rules in terms of hygiene. Don't spread any viruses for that matter, but please also don't spread fear.
Pandemic. These are big words with huge implications. With me is psychologist Shaun Whittaker, based here in Windhoek. Shaun, what feelings does this provoke when you hear words like pandemic and illness and death?
Tremendous fear. I think if you think about the atmosphere in Windhoek at the moment, and of course not only in Namibia but in the rest of the world, I think we are all in a state of panic. We are all very scared. We've seen all the images on television in China and of course Italy as well at the moment. And I think everyone is extremely anxious. The biggest fear is the fear of death. And I think that is what all of us are grappling with in a very real way. The fact that, this is something new, this is a new virus, and no one can predict how you would be impacted by
the fear of the unknown also.
The fear of the unknown, and clearly, if a country like China and Italy, these countries can struggle with this virus, then surely Namibia,
which are so-called first world countries.
First world countries, very well developed. Even in Italy, this was the richest region in Italy. So we are all extremely scared at this point. I think that is what people are speaking about. And like I said, we have 5 fears as human beings. And the biggest one, obviously, is the fear of death, our sense of mortality. And I think this virus really challenges us in so many ways, that we all realize, that we are actually very vulnerable as human beings. And it's, as a psychologist, I ask myself, I wonder how people are already anxious, how they are coping with this, or people are already depressed. What do they do with this?
It's adding on to already existing anxiety and fear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, and I'm so happy that we are doing this interview, because I think the mental health issue very often is forgotten when we have these important events. And it's crucial to speak about mental health. I think this virus also should remind us of the importance of mental health, that people ultimately have emotions that we need to be able to deal with, so that they can also overcome their sense of helplessness and powerlessness about this, and hopefully get going. So there's clearly tremendous panic and fear out there. And we need to be able to help people deal with this. And also the question of self-isolation. I worry about my depressed patients when you speak about self-isolation.
Quarantine, taking people out of the community, out of the support system.
Absolutely, especially the elderly. I think obviously what we know at this point is that the virus is especially lethal to the elderly. And it's so unfair to expect the elderly to isolate themselves without at least speaking about the necessary support networks. We cannot expect, the housewife that is usually the woman to take care of everyone in the family. We should also have this discussion and say, but the younger people in the family, the healthy ones, obviously should take some responsibility, help the elderly, help to go to the shop or to do what needs to be done. Clearly, with this virus, the elderly should be protected as much as possible, and that should be our main focus. Secondly, people have diabetes, people have HIV/AIDS, people have tuberculosis. These are obviously people are also at severe risk.
Very vulnerable.
They're already very vulnerable, so they also have to be protected. They have to, as far as possible, stay at home as well. So it's crucial that there's some level of support and solidarity out there. What about your poorer areas where people don't have running water, they don't have access to soap, and so on, or access to healthy food? So I think there's those kinds of areas that we should be speaking about as well. I can imagine that your vulnerable families, people who don't have too many resources in terms of food in the fridge, or that I wonder how scared they must be about this.
What can I, as a daughter, as a friend, as a member of society, do to support these people in isolation, in quarantine, but in general, the public in general?
The most important, I think, is to provide emotional support, to be able to check up on them, call. Fortunately, I think with the cell phones, with social media and so on, it helps in terms of self-isolation, so to stay in touch with people you are worried about on a regular basis, a few times per day.
Make that call.
Make those calls every day, make sure they are fine, make sure they have nutritious food, of course, make sure their basic needs are taken care of, make sure they have access to a television or books or whatever they need to keep themselves busy in a good way. If possible, go and visit as well. So I think that kind of support is certainly crucial. Make sure that they keep their immune systems going in terms of whatever that means, lemons and ginger and so on. So I think there's a lot that people can do at that level. Yes.
On the side of parents, because children feel your anxiety and your fear and it spills over into your home, how can parents cope with that fear from the children's point of view?
I think it's a good opportunity for parents to teach children about the necessity of maintaining healthy habits.
The basics.
Do the basics, being able to wash your hands regularly, to eat healthy, stay away from the sugar, eat the healthy things that we all need to do. I think in that sense, it's a good opportunity for parents to teach children about a healthy lifestyle. Yes, as far as possible, to reassure them at home that we will get through this and we are going to be fine. This is only a temporary situation. I think it's crucial to help children deal with this anxiety. I'm sure many of the children do not understand, the gravity of this. But parents, I think, can do so much in terms of reassuring them.
And it's a good time to start that discussion. Not on death also, but empathy, how to look after your neighbor. So it's a very good time to start that discussion.
Absolutely. I mean, for kids to understand that we have to worry about grandmother and grandfather.
You don't live on an island.
Absolutely. We are humans through other humans, and perhaps the silver lining to this virus is to once again remind us that we are very vulnerable as human beings and that we do need each other, and that we have to begin to do things differently. Our health is more important
we all
than
want
work,
humanity.
for example.
Exactly,
Absolutely. And I think one sees it with this. It's on television. It's in the newspapers. It's in the media that we've learned about the coronavirus. That we've been able to speak about the symptoms and have an idea about how serious this is. So yes, the media is central in terms of educating, in terms of creating that awareness. and incidentally also to keep people entertained at the same time. You know, I think my daughter would not have been able to go through this self-isolation without Netflix and DSTV. You know, so there's also that element to it.